Part 1. You will hear a woman calling a health center to make a doctor's appointment. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4. Now listen and answer questions 1 to 4.
Good morning, Riverdale Health Center. How could I help you today?
Hello? I'd like to get some information about your services. Actually, on behalf of my sister. She doesn't feel confident calling herself.
Of course, we can sort that out. Could I start by taking her full name, please?
Yes, it's Maria Gomez. That's Gomez. Some people spell it with an S at the end, but hers ends with a Z.
Thank you. That's clear. And her date of birth?
Right. She's 33 now, so that would make it 1991. Yes, 14th of July, 1991. I nearly said 1990 because she was born close to my cousin, but it's definitely 1991.
Excellent. Could I also have a contact number for her?
Sure. She used to use a number ending 7542, but that one's no longer active. The correct one is 07963 882 417. Please write that down carefully. She's had problems with people misdialing.
Got it. And her address?
She moved recently. She was living on Maple Street near the cinema, but last month she shifted to 19 Harper Road, apartment 6B. That's Harper Road. It's a block of flats opposite a bakery.
Okay, thank you.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
And what does she want to see a doctor about?
Well, she's been getting headaches almost every other day. At first, she thought it was her eyes. She even went for an eye test. But the optician said her vision was fine. So now she'd like a general health checkup.
That makes sense. Would she prefer a particular doctor?
Yes, she would. She tried Dr. Allen once, but she didn't feel very comfortable. She heard good things about Dr. Oliver, so she'd like to see him instead.
Let me just check his schedule. He's fully booked this Friday. Monday morning at 10 a.m. is available, though.
That might not work. She has morning shifts at the library. Could you check later in the day?
Yes, there's a 3:30 p.m. slot on Monday.
Perfect. Let's book her for that.
Done. Now, does she take any regular medication?
Not really. She takes vitamin tablets daily, but nothing prescribed. She did take antibiotics a few months ago, but she finished those.
All right. And allergies?
Well, we once thought she was allergic to strawberries, but it turned out the problem was peanuts. If she eats peanuts, she gets a rash.
Understood. Lastly, does she have medical insurance?
Yes, it's covered by her workplace plan. The company uses Bright Care insurance.
Excellent. Everything is recorded. Please remind her to bring a photo ID and arrive 10 minutes early.
Will do. Thanks for being so thorough.
You're welcome. Wishing Maria good health. Goodbye.
That is the end of Part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 1. Part 2. You will hear a speaker explaining new updates and facilities at a local public library. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 17. Now listen and answer questions 11 to 17.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to this short information session about changes at the Exeter Community Library. I'll run through the key updates because some of them are quite different from what you may be used to. First of all, our opening hours. For years, we were closed on Sundays, but many people complained that this was their only free day. From next month, we will open every Sunday from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. Weekday timings remain unchanged. Now, borrowing limits. Until now, each person could take 6 books at a time. That caused frustration, especially for families. So we've increased the maximum to 10 books per member. Magazines and DVDs are counted separately, so they don't reduce your book quota. I should also explain the fines. We used to charge 50 pence per late day, but that often became a burden for students. The new fine is just 20 pence daily. But if an item is overdue by more than 30 days, borrowing rights will be suspended until it's returned. Some of you may be wondering about technology updates. We did discuss the possibility of buying laptops, but after consulting with regular users, we decided desktops were more reliable for shared spaces. That's why the library has installed 12 new desktop computers, replacing the old ones that used to freeze constantly. They're available for free during the first hour. If you stay longer, a small fee applies. And in case you prefer your own device, Wi-Fi has been upgraded so connections should drop out far less often. Let's talk about events. Every Thursday evening, we will host a book club. It's free, and the first theme is detective fiction. On Saturdays, we'll run creative writing workshops for teenagers. The library itself doesn't charge for these, but the tutor asks a small contribution of £3 per session. For younger children, storytelling hours will continue every Wednesday at 4 p.m. However, instead of being held in the main reading hall, they'll now take place in the children's corner near the colorful mural. There had been repeated complaints that wheelchairs couldn't get through comfortably. We've looked at several solutions. Some people even suggested an elevator, but that wasn't practical. So a new side ramp has been built, and the entrance doors are now wider, making wheelchair access far easier. In addition, there are clearer signs for the accessible toilets, which are right by the cafe.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 18 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 18 to 20.
Now, before I wrap up, we know people sometimes spend several hours here, so comfort and convenience matter. That's why we've made improvements, not just in study areas, but also in places where you can take a short break or meet friends informally. Speaking of the cafe, many people missed it during the renovation. It is open again, and apart from coffee and tea, will also serve simple hot meals like soup and pasta. Prices are modest because the cafe is run by volunteers. One final addition I want to mention is the library app. Many of you didn't even know it existed. Through the app, you can renew books, reserve titles, and even listen to audiobooks for free. It's available for both Android and Apple devices. Remember, library as a whole is not just a place to borrow books, but also a community hub. We hope you'll spread the word and encourage neighbors to join. And that really is all for today. Thank you for your patience during the refurbishment, and we hope you'll enjoy the improved facilities. If you have any specific questions, feel free to come and see me at the front desk after this talk. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
That is the end of Part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 2. Part 3. You will hear a discussion between a tutor and students planning a research project on part-time student workers. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen and answer questions 21 to 26.
All right, Maya and Josh, let's review your project proposal. I know you're focusing on students who take part-time jobs while studying. Can you remind me how you've limited the scope?
Sure. At first, we thought of including all employment types: cafes, retail, office jobs, even online freelancing. But that became too broad. So we cut out freelancing completely and decided to focus only on service jobs on or near campus.
Exactly, because freelance work from home doesn't affect commuting or face-to-face interactions. It wouldn't really match our central aim.
Good call. But your central research question, what is it exactly?
We're asking how holding these jobs influences academic performance.
Actually, to be precise, it's not grades we're after. It's study habits. We'll track attendance and assignment submission patterns more than exam marks.
Right, because grades are influenced by many other variables. Now, tell me, how are you selecting participants?
We were going to rely on a general email to the whole student body, but response rates are usually low. Instead, we're targeting student societies. We'll approach members of the drama club and the sports union in particular.
And we'll also put posters in the library, but that's secondary.
Sounds fine. But you must be careful with bias. Drama club students may have more flexible schedules than, say, engineering students.
True. That's why we'll stratify our sample to include different faculties.
Good. And how are you gathering the data?
Through questionnaires at first, but after some debate we decided not to make them anonymous.
Yes, because we want to follow up with a few students later for interviews. If they were anonymous, we couldn't trace them.
Makes sense. But make sure consent forms highlight that participation is voluntary.
Absolutely.
What about timing? Are you studying work-life balance across one semester or longer?
One full academic year. We thought a single semester wouldn't show seasonal patterns.
Like retail jobs peaking around Christmas.
Exactly. But won't that drag out your project?
Yes, though we've divided tasks. I'll monitor survey distribution while Maya focuses on interview scheduling.
And we'll swap roles mid-year, so neither of us gets overloaded.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
All right. And what problems do you anticipate?
Students may exaggerate how many hours they work to appear busier.
Or underreport if they think admitting long shifts makes them look irresponsible.
Quite right. So you'll need cross-checking.
We'll compare their responses with payslips where possible, though not everyone will agree to show them.
Fair enough. And how do you plan to present the findings?
With charts mainly. We'll use line graphs for hours worked and bar graphs for attendance patterns.
Good mixture. Now, what's the significance of this project?
We believe it can help universities provide better support for working students.
Yes, like adjusting library hours or offering late-night study spaces.
Interesting. But you might find institutions are reluctant to spend extra money.
True, but if the evidence is strong, it could at least push for policy discussions.
That's a realistic expectation. So, final step. When's your submission deadline?
Friday evening.
Yes, but we'll send a draft to you by Wednesday for feedback, so there's still time for corrections.
Excellent. I'll look out for it.
That is the end of Part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 3. Part 4. You will hear a lecture about camels and their importance to human societies. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen and answer questions 31 to 40.
Hello, everyone. Today's lecture explores the camel, often called the ship of the desert, not only for its role in transport, but for the variety of resources it provides to human societies. When people think of camels, the first image is usually of transport, animals carrying loads across deserts. But in truth, camels contribute far more. For centuries, communities have relied on almost every part of the animal, finding creative ways to use what might otherwise be wasted. Take the skeleton, for instance. The bones are not thrown away, but reshaped into practical objects. In some North African markets, you'll still see combs and buttons carved out of camel bone. Researchers have gone further. Bone powder, rich in calcium, has been tested in laboratories for use in medical capsules. What was once only craft material is now also a scientific resource. From bone, it is easy to see how the skin became equally valuable. Strong hides are tanned into leather, producing belts, saddles, and bags durable enough for harsh travel. Yet the story doesn't stop there. In parts of South Asia, camel skin is boiled down and transformed into glue, still used in carpentry and even in bookbinding, where synthetic adhesives remain costly. The hair of camels offers another layer of usefulness. Each year, camels naturally shed thick coats, which can be gathered without harming the animals. The coarse outer strands are twisted into ropes and rugs, tough enough for everyday wear and tear, while the softer undercoat is spun into shawls. Because camel hair is both lighter than sheep wool and highly insulating, it remains prized in the colder regions of Mongolia and Iran. Diet also connects people to camels. Meat from the animal is lean, containing less fat and cholesterol than beef. That makes it healthier, though many cooks find the taste stronger, so marinating is often necessary to soften the flavor. Milk is even more significant. It digests more easily than cow's milk for some individuals, and in recent years, camel milk powder has found its way into cosmetic creams, promoted for hydration and skin repair. Some uses may surprise you. Traditional Bedouin medicine has long made reference to camel urine. Though still controversial, a few pharmaceutical companies are now exploring its antibacterial qualities. And while that research continues, communities have long put another byproduct to simpler work: dung. When dried, it burns cleanly, serving as household fuel in deserts where wood is scarce. Even beyond these products, camels shape modern economies. Tourism is one example. Camel racing in the Gulf states attracts large audiences, with televised events drawing international attention. Meanwhile, in Morocco and other regions, camel rides for tourists remain a steady source of local income. So, when you consider camels today, don't think only of transport. They provide resources for crafts, food, medicine, textiles, and tourism. This versatility explains why societies across Asia and Africa continue to value them so highly, seeing the camel not just as an animal of burden, but as a foundation of cultural and economic life. And that really concludes the overview. Before I finish, I should mention that in next week's lecture, we'll move away from animals entirely and turn our attention to desert plants, particularly those that survive long dry seasons. You'll find the reading list uploaded on the course site. Please make sure to download the articles before Monday, since some of them are only available through the university library system.
That is the end of part 4.